We are live. What's going on? We are live. We are live. We are live here with another series or another show, the Tisa Batey Experience, the Tisa Batey Show. What's going on out there, my sweet baby? What's going on? Welcome, welcome, welcome to another Tisa Batey Experience, Tisa Batey Show. Whatever you want to call it, it's all good. Listen. I need you guys to go ahead out there, whoever is joining us now, go ahead and share this with everybody you know who will appreciate my podcast. If they're not on Facebook, no problem. Admonish them to go to Tisa Batey on my YouTube channel, Tisa Batey, the author, the life coach. We are going to talk today. We're going to take a little break from the dating series. As you can see, though, we are still celebrating love. We're always celebrating love here on the Tisa Batey Show. We're going to take a little break this week, and we are going to talk about a topic that I think is of particular interest. It is to me. I want to know what everybody else thinks about it. We're talking about whether or not you should pay your children allowances. And I am pleased to have with me today in the studio my good girlfriend, Ursula Relaford out of Atlanta, Georgia. And Ursula has a total of 6 children, three from her loins, and she has a blended family, and 3 prior to her marriage. So a total of 6 children she has. Who better to impart some words of wisdom than a mother of
just one prior to marriage, and then 2 extra with the man.
You have 3 from your marriage, or okay, all right. So one, I wasn't trying to tell all your business, but since you want me to, I'll go ahead. So
we good.
So she has 1 prior to marriage that she had, 2 with her husband, and then her husband had another 3 prior to marrying her from a previous marriage. So that is that's a total of 6 children. And we're talking blended family. We're talking, mother extraordinaire. We're talking all that. So welcome, Ursula Relaford.
Thank you.
And we also have, I wanted to get a male perspective on this. We also have, I'm going to be honest with you, one of the best fathers I have ever known. And my mother co-signs with me on this. This guy right here, he is the primary caregiver of his only child, only 1 child, and she's a girl. He's divorced and remarried, but from his first marriage, that union produced a beautiful girl. And she's a teenager now, and he has had custody of her since she has been in this world, and is just a phenomenal father. And that is all the way from Tennessee, Jerome Victorio Kilgo. Welcome.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Welcome. We are so, and then of course you have little old me. Yeah, little old me. I am yours truly, Tisa Batey, and I'm going to make this public now so that everybody can share it. Share. It is public now, so if you couldn't share it before, you can share it now. But I am just little old Tisa Batey, just little old Tisa. And I am the proud mother of 2 beautiful girls and 1 grandchild. And I just want to talk about how you guys feel about allowances. Should we pay our children allowances or should we not? And let me just say this, there are no right or wrong answers because everybody has different opinions and everybody is entitled to them. But I just want to know, Ursula, what do you think? Should we pay our children allowances or no?
Well, Tisa, I have mixed emotions on this subject. Uh, I'm not opposed to it. I'm not necessarily feeling like it needs to be consistent and all the time with everything. Um, if if I were to do it, and I have done it on occasion, I haven't been consistent with it being for grades. And it would have to be really extraordinary because I've always told the children that's your job. But at the same time, when we say it's your job, do you not get paid for a job? You know what I'm saying?
Very
I
good
mean,
point.
does anyone
Very good
go to
point.
a job and not get paid? But at the same time, we're not employers, we're parents, but we're preparing them for life. So, um, and also because I've had 6 children and because we've not been rich, we've not necessarily been in a place to be consistent about paying every child allowance. But I'm not opposed to it. Honestly, now my take on it would be if you can do it, to do it, but to do it not in balance, because you can't always be balanced in life, but to try to find the happy medium. Um, for example, if you're not necessarily going to do it for educational reasons, let's say you got a really big project to do at home, and it's a project that's going to take place on Saturday, and your children are at a place where they want to go out or do something, and you really need some help, maybe cleaning out the garage. Oh, excuse me on that. Cleaning out the garage or just doing something that really requires a family effort. Money is a good motivator. So,
Absolutely.
or if they were struggling in a particular subject and you just wanted to motivate them to do more in this subject, not, to do more, and maybe you offered something in that arena. But as far as an allowance for needs and everything, as parents, we're doing that. We're taking care of them, or we're supposed to be. So, I don't know about consistency in areas of education and things like that, but I do feel like there are things that come up where it's good to motivate them and to give them something to strive for, to really do well with it and to be rewarded afterwards, and not just saying thank you and I appreciate it.
Gotcha.
That's what I believe it for now.
Very, very good point. Very, very good point. Very good point. Victorio Kilgo, what do you say about that as a father coming from a different male perspective? What do you say about paying your kids allowances? Should you or should you not pay your children allowances?
I'm kind of like Ursula on this to a certain degree. I promised my daughter, I said, listen, if you have to do something for something. This world that we live in is not going to give you anything. So if you make good grades, then you deserve something. And I based mine off the grades. I based mine off attitude. Just like she said, some of the things, doing the dishes, just little things around the house that could be tidied up, stuff that I don't have to necessarily do all the time. Just jump in and help. But more than that, it was really the grades for me. You keep your grades up, society will reward you. If you keep your grades up, you do what you're supposed to do, you have a decent attitude about it, you'll go a long way in this world. Now, as far as me just giving like a specific, maybe weekly or bi-weekly um, little funds or something, no, not necessarily. But if she needs it to do something, needs something to go somewhere, then I'm kind of like, yeah, what do you need? Boom, you got it. But that's conditions also go with how you've been doing in school, what type of personality, what kind of attitude have you had around the house? Because if you have these things in check, then there's nothing. I mean, totally nothing that I wouldn't do, nor no mountain that I wouldn't climb for my daughter. No mountain. So, yes, ma'am.
Gotcha. I've heard a lot, very, very good perspective. I've heard a lot of people say, and I'm, I have mixed feelings about this. I lean more to one side than I do to the other. And I'm going to share that with you guys. Um, here's my take on this. What we don't want to do is ever overcompensate our children in a way that gives them unrealistic expectations of the real world. You know what I'm saying? And I know as parents, it is very normal sometimes for us to overcompensate and to want our kids to have more than what we had and better than what we had. But I don't know that equipping them with allowances and financial means actually means that you're getting a better life than what we had. I can use myself for example here. I had a wonderful childhood, a wonderful upbringing. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. I can't remember too many allowances, but we weren't lacking when it came to relationship, when it came to activities, when it came to our parents showing us love. They may not have had the financial means to pay us an allowance, but we were allowed. My opinion is we were allowed to live in your house rent free. We were allowed to eat your groceries. We were allowed to have the best of clothing and the best of provisions. We were allowed extracurricular activities every week. We were allowed many things, but we didn't receive a quote unquote allowance. So you feel me? So I don't know that our intent to provide our kids with better than what we had from a financial perspective is always the best thing. And my position on that is this. I can agree with what both of you all have said. It's okay, in my opinion, to incentivize kids to want to do better, whether it's a grade thing. And I did extend allowances to my children to motivate them in that area of academia. So, for so many, for an A, for every A, you might get $5. For every B, you might get $3. We don't pay for C's and below in my house. That's just not what we did. So I can agree that that was a motivator. And my children were so business minded at the time that their grades and their academic success was a business to them. They were expecting that money every time they brought that grade card home. And my kids did not bring home anything below B's. So in that area, I can say, or I can actually acknowledge that I think that it's a good thing. But the flip side of that, when it comes to kids doing their chores, whether it's taking out the trash or washing the dishes or cleaning their rooms or cleaning the bedrooms or what have you, my position is this. Why in the world am I paying you to equip you with life lessons that will be very valuable to you when you're grown? Why do I have to pay you to teach you how to be a responsible, independent adult? Why am I paying you for that? What sense does that make to me? Like, that makes no sense to me. Some parents come from a perspective of, you know what? If you give them a little bit of allowance and teach them how to budget their money, then you're creating more business-minded, responsible kids.
But T,
help me out.
But look, T, look, today's kids, I mean, I agree with you when it comes to like the $5 stuff. But kids ain't want $5 no more, cuz they're wanting 100. Listen, these kids are wanting Birkenstock. My daughter came to me and she said, Dad, if I make these grades, would you get me a pair of Birkenstocks? And I looked them up because it was 120. I'm like, oh yeah, all the kids are wearing them, Dad. Yeah, sure. I said, here, are these the ones you're talking about? She said, no. Let me show you the ones I want. And she went and showed me these Birkenstocks, and they were pure black, all leather. I think you got a pair, Tisa. They were $225 for these Birkenstocks. Now I said, now watch this. Here's where we're gonna go to something that I said. If you bring home them grades and they look good, A's, mostly A's. That's what I'm going to see, mostly A's. QBs, sprinkle, okay, that's fine. We'll go get you them Birkenstocks. I need you to do something for something. But then all of a sudden, her mom just went ahead and got them before I could even. That's I mean,
no.
Oh, you know what I'm saying? I mean, so I can understand definitely, but the kids aren't wanting $5 no more. They're and I'm trying to tell my mom the reality of things is you're living right now in something that's worked hard for, and you're going to be in for a rude awakening if you don't do the same. Because when mom and dad is gone, you know, the reality is you're going to have to pick up the pieces and do whatever you need to do to be successful. Because a lot of kids are living in, I mean, our parents provided very well for us, like you said, what they could do during the time. They worked their butts off to give. My mom would have $10 in her pocket and would give me 7 of it. So, and I would never know that she did that. But the kids today, and we just want to do just like our parents did, but we got better educations, we got better means, got better knowledge. Google is giving us everything. So I'm like, man, you know, now it's time we have our daughters and our sons that their expectations for things, I guess you could say, is like on a high level. So I'll pity the guy who dates my daughter, because when he does, her expectations are here, right? So, but I mean, nevertheless, I said it takes hard work. If you want to be that way, it takes hard work. Nobody is going to give you anything. And if they do give you something, you're going to bet your bottom dollar they're going to let you know about it.
And they're really going to want something in return. Exactly. And I'm glad that you brought that up, Jerome, because when it in relation to high expectations, you know firsthand what type of father I had. And he set the bar really high for any man to come after him. He didn't want us depending on anybody else. He didn't want us depending on another man. He would rather us be self-sufficient or come to him. He was a very present father, very loving, very affectionate. We knew that we were loved. And, you know, so when it comes to children, just like you said with Lena, you know, the kids don't want $5 anymore. I can remember when my husband and I divorced early on, and I'm trying to instill, you know, these values of hard work and earning your dollar into my daughters. Well, every week when they would go with their dad, especially Jordan's the baby, and every week that she would come home, and now I'm on a budget. I'm on a fixed income now. I'm divorced now. It's no longer a 2-parent household. It's just me. But every week when she came home, she would have on a pair of $200 or $300 new tennis shoes that her dad has purchased her every week. It got to the point where, and I never said anything, but it got to the point where it was so bad that she would wear the shoes 2 or 3 times, and then she built her an eBay business, and she started selling shoes, resale on eBay. She had me doing the shipping for her that she didn't have to pay for, and she was making bank. It was big business for her. But her dad was giving her every no that I said. Her dad was saying yes, and she didn't have to earn it. She just felt in a sense of entitlement. You know what I'm saying? So when it was, okay, you need to clean your bathrooms, you need to clean your rooms. When I look under your beds, I want the bed spotless. I don't want to see any dirty toilet. But mom, I mean, daddy says that we should be getting an allowance. Okay. Well, talk to your dad about that because you won't get one while you're living here. I will not pay you for equipping you with life tools and skills that you need to be a successful adult. Yeah, not going to happen. So I get it. I get it. What say you, Ursula?
Well, I pretty much feel the same way. Coming up, we never received allowance, but we were a middle income family, and every last need was met. We ate good, we were in activities, and we went on vacation every single year. And if we went out with friends, then it was nothing for my father to drop you a 20 just like that. He gonna give you a 20, send you on
Yeah.
your way. Back then, I'm a 70s baby, so 20 was more than enough for you to do the movie, get you something to eat, and maybe go in the store and pick up a little trinket and be back at the house and still have $3 or $5 in your pocket. So coming up and marrying my husband and marrying into having 6 kids to take care of, we had a completely different dynamic. And I did not adjust well to that because we had less money to work with because we had more kids. And me and my brother grew up in a 2 sibling household with 2 parents that were thriving. And here me and my husband got 6 kids and we okay. So that equaled struggle. Hello.
You're right.
That equals struggle because we wasn't a doctor and lawyer and had the nerve to have 6 kids.
Right.
But what I can say is that we were still able to, at times, if there was something significant, give them an incentive that they were pleased with. I'm kind of rare in the regard that out of the 6 kids, it just had a different dynamic on it. Like we had my husband's 3 kids from his first wife, they had cell phones. My 3 children, only the baby had a cell phone. Everybody else graduated without it. And so there was kind of a resentment there. And so I have a different
So
dynamic on that.
let me interrupt. Why did you decide to get only the baby the cell phone and not the other 2?
It wasn't that I decided that. It was that the income was finally freeing up to the point where the baby could get the cell phone. And, things got a little bit, were as good as they could be and as, way better for the baby.
Gotcha.
So it wasn't that we were trying to, it wasn't intentional. It was just that money was getting better. And as people was emptying out the house, but we still found a way to give them incentives and especially when we had like big time projects. And what we found, and we would always sit down and let them know that nothing in life is for free. So you get what you pay for, and you get paid based on a skill set, and you have to work to make money. And so we kind of let them know that everything that they were doing was building up towards what kind of quality of life they were going to have.
Gotcha.
And that nothing in life was for free. And so we kind of decided that our platform would be more so training and getting them prepared to be the CEO or deal with the employer, as opposed to operating in that vein, especially because our finances was not there to appropriately accommodate all 6 kids.
Gotcha.
So, now if I could have done so, I definitely will say this. I would definitely be consistent with the money as it applies to the education. That would, if you can afford it and if you're all for that, but it still would not be allowance. Allowance is just an expected amount that they're going to expect no matter what.
Right.
And it's
But
like,
should it
no,
be? Should it?
I,
No, real. Is that what an allowance was designed to be? An anticipated or an expected amount, no matter what you did, or is an allowance really designed to reward you for appropriate chore behavior and responsibility?
good question. Let me try to be brief on that. The thing is, based on the household, that's what was established. We don't know. Um, now this could, I don't want this to sound stereotypical, but I have known a few Caucasian families where the parents just simply gave them money every week just because that was their practice. And they didn't have to be good or bad or do anything to deserve it. That was just an established set thing that every week we give our child $25 a week. That's just what we do.
Spoiling the child? Is that spoiling the child?
I think that is setting them up for that entitlement that is off the chain hook and link now.
Yeah, that's
And what
welfare.
do you say about that, Jerome?
That's welfare. That is welfare. That's the welfare check. You collecting it like that. That's how you collecting it. That's what you get used to. Let's look at this. That's what you get used to doing. You get used to receiving. You get used to people putting something in your hand.
Yep.
So when you get used to that, you're like, hey, I'm not going to do nothing because I know this money is coming in on Wednesday. So, and if you look at that, listen, I grew up, our grandmothers in the projects, we was there, we seen people coming there paying $7 to $20 rent per month, never went try to get a job, you know what I'm saying? Because that $20 a month, they could come up with that. So if it's $20 a month, I'm not going nowhere. I'm gonna have all my kids right here living this way because it's given to me. So if we don't snatch that back and grab that back and let them start to work towards something and have, like my daughter, I told her, I said, listen, honey, I can't see you working for anyone for a specific salary or wage, but I can see you as a doctor or a lawyer or something, occupational health and safety, something that's going to be in management or an owner, or like I said, because right now the way you're rolling, you're going to have to do that because when you have like myself. My ex-wife, she is an awesome mother. She is, and she would do anything she could for me or her. We're all tight. But the thing about it, like I said, she won't be there all the time, and I won't be here all the time. And eventually, at some point, the benefit or the beneficiary money is going to run out. And what are you going to do when that money runs out? And now you got to fend for yourself in this world that we live in right now. This is not a pretty place in which we live, as we can see daily.
Right.
But and I'll look at it this way. I got a female. I have a daughter. So I have to talk to her. I talk to her just as strong as I would a young man and what I mean by that is I say, listen, nobody's going to give you nothing as a black woman. I say, I've seen black women, my mother, I've seen my aunts, I've seen family and friend members, women who depended on men to bring it in. I've seen that. They depended on their men to bring it in. When the bills was $1,000, my mama would come home with $800 and the husband would come home with $200. You see what I'm saying? So, and then I would say, Mom, I'm not even going to ask because you know what? Mom's putting it in. So I said, the black women around here, they're not getting paid the way they should be getting paid. They're doing the same job as the man, but yet the man is getting paid more. So I said, maybe there are times will change by the time you're an adult and you're able to do your own thing. But right now, we got to equip you to get you ready for the man's world because you're gonna be successful. And I have to instill that in her mind. You are going to be successful.
I heard that. You know what? I want to make sure that I touch on every point because that was deep. The first thing I want to touch on is what you said about the welfare. When parents make the decision to just give their children. And then I'm going to get to some of our viewers' comments, because our viewers have something to say, baby, and I love them for it. But you talked about, the parents who make the decision to just give their kids money every week, and how that correlates with the modern day welfare system, expecting something and getting something for nothing. I do believe, in the welfare system when it's used and exercised in the way that it was designed to. Emergency situations and things of that nature, when everybody goes through sometimes and everybody just needs a helping hand at some point for a limited period of time. But when it is your lifestyle and you have no intention on doing anything else except nothing and receiving something, then that poses a problem. I can speak from a spoiled child's perspective. And I can easily speak from a spoiled child's perspective. And I can easily say in my transparency that is not necessarily a good thing. I had a father when I went away to college, and I was on full athletic scholarship, Austin Peay State University. Let's go P. I was on full scholarship and I could not work. Even though I had somewhat of a strong work ethic back then, I could not work because I was on full scholarship. I had the type of father who told me every week, every Friday, you go to Western Union. And every Friday, I was balling in college because I had a car. And every Friday, my daddy was sending me $100, $150 a week, every week. And my mother wasn't pleased with it, but I was his baby. And he saw that I was trying to do something for myself. And that was his way of rewarding me. Was it the right thing to do? I don't know. And my freshman year, my college roommate, Alicia Fletcher, I don't know if you're on here or not, but Fletch can tell you, every Friday I was making my way to Western Union because I was picking up my check, my money. And I won't necessarily say that he was paying me for doing nothing. I was putting myself through school, and it was an expense that they did not have to come out of their pockets with. So I think that was his way of sort of rewarding me for achieving good grades and for sticking it out, because there were many days I felt like quitting. I'm just going to tell you. But but I was a product of a spoiled, I came up with a father who strongly believed in giving. And it wasn't always necessarily tied to an action or an achievement. So fast forward that, Ursula, that will probably answer a lot of your questions as to why I am the way I am today. And even though I'm working on it, plug, I still have very high expectations of any man who decides to court me or marry me or whatever. I just do. My expectations are high. Now, I'm a team player. I learned how to be a team player, and I believe in playing my part. But I also believe in allowing a man to take care of the household and, do what a man does. And then I believe in being that helpmeet. And I think that was just because of the way I was raised and because of the type of father that I had. So I'm just saying, if you want to raise women who are completely and totally independent of any other presence in their life and don't ever rely on a man, whether they're with them or not, to do anything for them, then the worst thing you can do is spoil that child as a father, especially. So I commend you, Jerome, for what you're doing and how you're raising your daughter and the values that you're instilling in her. I really do. But I still, can you piggyback? Absolutely, you can piggyback. Please do join in, and then I'm going to get to the comments. Go ahead.
Sorry, Tisa, hold on. That was Destiny chiming in. So my situation for college. You got me? Oh, okay.
I
I
can
was
hear
frozen
you.
for a minute. My situation in college was a little different. Um, I initially was not going to go to college. I just wanted to work because I was tired of school and I understood about, getting a good education, but I was one of those that kind of wanted to step out and work. And so I ended up still going to college on a scholarship. And my scholarship was different. My scholarship was not it was a scholarship. I just wrote a senatorial scholarship. You remember those? Senator,
No.
basically you just write an essay asking them why they should give you money. And so I ended up going to school, and I did not have to work during that time because my mama had passed away and she had left life insurance. And so I was able to live off the life insurance through the duration of school. However, I still got work study. I did work study while I was attending school to make money and not, totally spend up all of that. So I can truly say that even though we were never paid allowance, I think because I saw my parent, because of what they instilled in us, I hit the ground running, knowing that nobody was going to give me anything if I didn't work for it.
I
And
think that's very good.
I had
I
no
think
choice
that's
but to
very
work.
good. Yeah, I think that's very good. I'm going to get to some of these comments, and I want you to be thinking about this, Jerome, as a father who has a daughter. When she grows up and when she ventures out and when she gets married, um, do you want her to, and don't answer this right now, we'll come back to it, but would you like for her to have a husband who takes care of her regardless of what she's able to bring to the table? Or would you rather her be completely and totally self-sufficient and be the breadwinner? Which one would you prefer? But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read some of these comments real quickly because I don't want time to get away from us. We got quite a few people on. Tammy Smith says, I have given my children allowances. I do not see anything wrong with it. I also provide them with avenues where they can earn extra money. They are involved in Future Seekers Incorporated. This program provides incentives that helps keep them motivated and pays them based on their participation. So that's another perspective. So she's going to give them an allowance, and I don't know if the allowance is tied to them actually performing certain duties around the house or whatever. Maybe she's one who just is fit to give them allowance every week because she feels like kids need money to survive or to participate in extracurricular activities. I don't really know, but she's certainly entitled to her opinion. Sheila Massey says, exactly, y'all are right, but a kid I respect it and then do great because these kids are okay. Hold on, I want to make sure that I'm understanding this correctly. Kids are high dollars because your little cousin Bryce gets the best because he deserves it. And it began to show off, and he's very dependable now at 18. So basically what she's saying is she also believes in giving allowances and that he deserves it because he's doing so well academically and athletically. She says, I love my grandson because he don't ask, but he has come a long way, and right is going to pay off for him soon. And I agree, right begets right. Marie Seller says, giving your child money can sometimes be false motivation. I don't reward for good grades. They are not optional. I don't reward for good behavior. It is not optional. I reward him for being consistent with good grades and good behavior. Wow. Um, wow. Very good perspective. So in other words, it's not an option that you make good grades and that you have good behavior. He's not going to reward you for that. He's going to reward you for your consistency in both those areas. It's a different way of looking at things. That's very.
So would that be a yearly annual allowance, or how would that be?
You're talking about Marie Sellers?
Yeah, she was like consistently. Is that the word?
Yeah, Maurice, Jerome says, is that quarterly? Is that monthly? Is that weekly? How do you decipher or determine when that payout is going to come? And basically, how will your kids know when to expect it, or will they even know to expect it? Professor Finesser says, I'm in and out, but I'm listening. Okay, well, we're glad you're listening. We're wonderfully glad to have you on. So there you see, we have a few different perspectives. So I want to go back to Jerome. You know, when Elena, who is the light of your life, who is the sun in your shine, when she grows up and she, you know, gets married, meets someone, and he's courting her and he decides to put a ring on and marry her, do you want her to be with someone that you're confident is going to take care of her and that she can rely on to take care of her? Or would you want her to be completely and totally self-sufficient, self-reliant, and even the breadwinner if she has to be?
Just like I was telling her, we had this conversation. I don't want her to have to depend on anybody, you know, unless it's family. Um, you know, a husband, he can come and he can go. And what are you left with as a female when he does, if that be the case? Not saying that it would be, but if it's the case, what do you have to fall back on? You know, if you're not, and when we say help meet, yeah, get in your profession, do what you do. And I would advise any young person to finish up school. You know, babies, you can have babies anytime. You know, you 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 years old. And as a man, 28, 29. You know, you're not mature until you kind of reach these ages. And when you reach these ages, at about that time, you start to mature in a way where responsibility, a foundation, a nice job or career or something that you own. You got things together. Now you can pull yourself. You got yourself together. So now it'd be awesome to have somebody else who has their self together to come together to have something in life. Because if my daughter is the breadwinner and he's not doing nothing, now we got a problem. And after a while, she'll see that. She'll be like, hey, I'm doing everything. I'm tired of this. Vice versa. If she's sitting at home, she could be the best housewife ever. But after a while, he's still got the paper in his pocket. He's like, hey, you know. So, and it shouldn't be like that. Don't get me wrong. It shouldn't be like that. But that's reality. And for a young black woman, I said, babe, you got to get it on your own. If somebody wants to add to that, that'll be fine. But do not get in a place where you don't have nothing and you depend on this dude, because now, you know, the guys today, man, they're just not like it was back in the day. You know, if I'm paying all the money,
And what do you mean by that?
I'm thinking like when we talked about chivalry, let's look at chivalry. Hmm? And we could use that as anything, opening the door. I mean, just anything that's catering to your woman. Today's guy, man, 9 times out of 10, the guys, they may do it to win you. But after they've done that, I mean, it goes right back to the same old person whoever they were. So I'm like, baby, don't be fooled by what guys say to you. Get yours, and then if they want to add on to you, fine. But that's going to be your call whether they're able to fit in your road. You know what I'm saying? You say people stay on your side of the street or get in your own lane. Okay, baby, you rolling in your lane, you're a doctor. Okay, it's up to you, whatever you want to do. But remember, if you ain't doing nothing, I know how you are. My daughter, I know how she is. Her expectation is just like yours. She expects to be a certain way. She expects to live a certain way. She expects certain things, you know, and it don't have to be big things. It could be little things, but she expects it. So if you don't meet that type of person, do not let anybody control you financially.
Gotcha.
And to piggyback off of you, my mother, when my mother was raising me, I mean, I was raised with both parents, but I remember my mother specifically telling me, make sure you have your own money.
Yeah.
Don't ever rely on a man to take care of you. If he is in your life, he needs to be adding to what you have, and you all will be a team
Yes.
together and grow together. And if you make sure he's bringing something to the table, but you make sure that your hand is not out, but that it has something in it to bring to the table also. So I always grew up saying, I'm good, I'm taken care of, I got it, because she always let me know, ain't nothing for free. So be careful about having your hand out.
Wow.
There's a price to pay for everything that you accept and take. So
Come on.
make sure you bringing something to the table, and that you are
Hallelujah.
giving and that you are adding. That's what she told me.
You know what? I think that it all goes back to making sure that you have similar core value belief systems. And some people have old-fashioned values and beliefs, and let's just face it, way back in the day, most women didn't work. They were,
Right.
they were caregivers, primary caregivers of the household. They were nurturers. They were stay-at-home moms, and they made sure that the house was taken care of while the man went out and earned the money. Um, Fast forward, things are quite different today. Um, and even though I'm not a stranger at all to hard work, have done it my entire life, there's a part of me that still has very, very old fashioned values. And I believe in chivalry. It has never died. And like you were saying, Jerome, some men will be chivalrous just to get you in get you under their grips or whatever. And then their real person, well, that's putting your best foot forward until you feel like you don't have to anymore. And then that all of a sudden stops. Well, I don't feel like manhood is something that you turn on and off. It's not a light switch. You either are or you're not. And so your true colors will be revealed at some point. But I do certainly believe in the team aspect of marriage and whatever. I believe that you work as a team to achieve the same common goal. That being said, and going back to the allowance part, I think that a lot of the way we are shaped as adults comes from the decisions that our parents make when we're children. Do they give to us? Do they make us work for it?
Right.
Hey, let me just say, I got a guy at my job. That's kind of funny because I got a guy at my job who gives his wife an allowance every week.
I've heard of that.
Come through.
This is the thing, though. But this is where it got weird. He not only gave her allowance, but he has her license and her social security card in his wallet.
Okay, now that's where this story got a little awkward to me.
That's control.
That's a little bizarre. That's a little bizarre.
It's not bizarre. It's control.
She stays at home. But
That's
yes.
bizarre.
It's control.
Okay, and the reason I say that's bizarre is this. It is not uncommon, and I have heard many times of men who give their wives allowances, or even wives who give their husbands allowances. And what that has typically meant is this. One is typically better with handling the finances than the other. It's not that they don't both contribute to the household pot, but one is typically more responsible with handling the household finances than the other. So all the money goes into the household pot to make sure that bills are paid first and all the necessities that it takes to run an efficient household are taken care of. What is left over is what you divvy out as an allowance, and what the typically the least responsible, financially responsible partner is dealt to deal with or to live off of for the rest of the week. So that is not, I've heard of that many, many, many times. Now,
Tisa,
as far as the licensing stuff, the social security card in your pocket, that's a bit much to me. But that's just my opinion. If it works for you, go ahead and do what works for you.
I'm actually kind of living this experience, but I can tell you it's positive. I was the one that was jacking up the money. It's a confession. There, you've been entertained. Can you hear me? I was the one jacking up the money, but I've been delivered. Everybody, I still
Amen.
shop, but I
Yeah, they
still been
won't try
delivered. So anyway, I actually get an allowance from my husband.
Oh, yes. All right, then.
Okay, and that's because he is very happy that I have joined him instead of worked against him as far as our goals financially for our home. And so after everything is done, sometimes I'll cry to him and be like, but I don't have enough for my hair. I don't have enough for my toes. I got to get my feet done like
Oh,
that.
oh,
So
well,
he'll pull out his pot, pull that money out and he'll say, babe, what you need? And I said, well, if you really want me to be good and to not have to pull into the account, I'm going to need about 175.
woo.
I'm going to need about 175. That'll hold me for at least 2 weeks. I
Oh,
just need to be comfortable and make sure I don't go back in and give me that. And that's exactly what I get. So the other thing is that if you can trust the partner to do you right and not feel like he gonna strain you or you need something and he had the nerve to give you $25, do something, funky like that has you feeling like he's got the reins tight and he trying to control. Now, when that happens, when a man give his woman $50 or $25 for 2 weeks, a fight is about to ensue. Believe that.
Oh, absolutely.
But when that man is
Every time.
reasonable and he give you 100 or something like that, ain't no complaint. I'm good. I mean, why should I be spending $175 in 2 weeks?
well, that's part of your money too, right? I mean, you work and put your money in the pot with them, though,
It
right?
is
Right.
So
We
then, yeah,
together. We joint.
I totally agree with that too. If your bills are X amount of dollars and you say, hey, I can use $200, it'll get me for the next 2 weeks or whatever, I'm good. But I mean, if people agree up on that, I'm good with it. But I've seen guys controlling their woman and she didn't leave the house. She did not leave the house. She would not drive. She had a car outside, but she wouldn't drive. But she couldn't drive because he had a license. And I'm like, he gave her like $75 a week.
See,
I'm like,
control.
I was like, man, what is that? What you doing, man?
Well,
I ain't
you
finna do that.
have to recognize that as being a very unhealthy and dysfunctional relationship.
That's crazy.
Because obviously he has trust issues. That's the only reason why he would withhold her her personal belongings that way. And she has some real deeply rooted self-esteem issues. That's the only reason she would allow that to happen and stay there. That's a decision on both their parts that they're making, but that's very unhealthy. I don't think that anything is unhealthy about the allowance portion, about a man giving a woman a certain allowance or a woman giving a man a certain allowance. I just think that you have to decide what works best for your household, and then you govern yourselves accordingly. But all that little extra stuff that you just added in there, yeah, that's function at its finest.
You said something really catching. You know what? Self-esteem too. If you're raising a kid that has low self-esteem because we're not sitting, we're not talking to them, we're not instructing. See, a lot of kids are telling their parents what they're gonna do, what they want to do, what they're gonna do. But if you're not sitting there instructing your kids, having some type of structure with those kids, their self-esteem could be like depleted. Where especially a female,
Right.
and you got a female now whose self-esteem is ruined because the parent, don't know how to talk, don't know how to be with the kid, don't know how to take them out, do whatever. My daughter is getting her toenails done at 13 years old, 12, 13 years old. She's still getting them done, $50 a week. Daddy, I need to get these toenails done, these nails done. But I'm just saying, if you don't do that, their self-esteem is going to diminish. And then guess what? You got a dude coming in. Hey, how you doing? You look good. Oh yeah, you do. Hey, she's gonna be subject to anybody. You know what I'm saying? So
you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And you know what? That's not even tied to an allowance. That's something altogether different, because even if you raise your children and you never, ever, ever, ever can even maybe you're not financially stable enough to afford them an allowance, and maybe you're the type of parent that just says, you know what, I'm not going to give it to you because this is what you should be doing anyway. Regardless, when a child grows up and when they become an adult, they're not going to remember whether or not you gave them an allowance. They're going to remember the words that you imparted into them. They're going to remember the life that you spoke into them. And they're going to remember that you were the ones who actually imparted words of life or death. Because we can speak, the power of the life and death lies in the power of the tongue. And I can't take credit for that. That's the word. Life and death lies in the power of the tongue. So you can speak life into somebody or you can speak death into them. We have to be very careful about what we say and how we, recognize and how we label our children. We have to be very careful about that because as parents, they cling to what we say more so than anybody. So regardless of whether you're giving them an allowance or not, you're absolutely right about that. You open up all the floodgates for the big bad wolf to come in and take your daughter or son's captive if you have always, spoken down to them and what the thing that they're seeking, which is acceptance and validation. If they don't get that from us at home, then they're going to get it from somebody in the streets. So you're absolutely right about that. And that is in no way tied to whether or not you pay them an allowance. Ain't got nothing to do with an allowance. So yeah, so I just this show was we were talking about allowances. And I want to read a couple of more comments, and then we're going to have to go ahead and get off this podcast because we're already an hour in, and I sort of like to keep my podcast to about an hour. So I'm going to read a couple of more comments, and then we're going to get off this podcast. Ursula, Jerome, you guys are so wise. I thank you so much for your comments. Nikki Batey says, hell no. LOL. Why does he have to have her whole wallet, driver's license, and social security card? Yeah. He has himself he has himself an entire fool. He better not leave. Yeah, she has herself an entire fool. Exactly. And Sheila Massey says, she got him down. Okay, so that's a conversation between them. So anyway, I think that everybody can certainly concede to the fact that I don't think it's unhealthy for an allowance to be divvied out between husband and wife. I don't think it's unhealthy for an allowance to be divvied out to your children. I don't think there's anything unhealthy about it. I just think that if you're going to give your kids an allowance, it probably would be beneficial if it's tied to some type of an accomplishment. Yes. If not, just like Jerome said, it's welfare. You're giving them something for nothing. And then you set them up for failure when it comes to real world experiences because that's just not realistic. You don't get something for nothing. I mean, most of us just don't get something for nothing, right? So we're not trying to tell anybody how to raise their children. We're just having the Tisa Batey show. Let's just talk about it. No pressure, just dialogue. So we're just talking about it. Certainly not criticizing anybody. If you want to give your kids allowances for doing nothing, child, go right on ahead and do what works for you and your household. We're just offering different perspectives and certainly seeking feedback from our viewers, and we love our viewers. Thank you all so much for tuning in. This was a very impromptu podcast, something that I wanted to do at the last minute. That's why the infamous DJ Grady Baby is not here, but I'm so thankful that we had one of my best friends, Ursula, and my cousin all the way from Tennessee, Jerome Kilgo. Y'all, and I'm gonna tell you, this man right here, woo, awesome man of God. He is awesome man of God. He is. He had me in tears last week with the sermon he delivered. Just awesome man. Some valuable words of wisdom. So thank you guys so much for being on my podcast. I called you guys at the last minute and you showed up. I appreciate you and I love you so much. Look, I'm gonna do like
back,
my first lady
you're
does.
welcome anytime.
Like my first lady does. Wrap your arms around yourself and just know that's a big hug for me. Thank you guys so much. I love both of you guys and I love my followers. And listen, subscribe to my YouTube channel at Tisa Batey, the author, the life coach. Anybody that you think could benefit from this podcast, if they're not on Facebook or social media, refer them to my podcast, to my YouTube channel, the Tisa Batey YouTube channel, the author, the life coach, and subscribe and like it and sign up for notifications. Love you guys. Mean it. Mwah. We're out. We'll see you next time on the Tisa Batey Show.
See ya.
See ya.